That seems like bad advice. I don't think that's no bueno. Okay, everyone. So we're gonna have to have a really awesome class on Thursday. Get a lot done. Here we go. Just gonna slack this out to everyone. Okay, just gonna wait for this to load. While we wait for this to load, we're gonna go back and start talking about our stuff that we need to do. This application is supposed to allow users to search OMDB, currently not fully functional. Open the source.omdb container.js and add the following code. Let me see if this is loaded yet. Okay. Okay, everyone paying attention? Do we want to get Nelson back up here? Yeah, let's get Nelson back up here. Yay, Nelson. Sorry for the delay. Everyone else back up right now.
Yeah, you're going to have to be a picture welcome box.
Okay, so first step, we're going to open the source/omdb container.js. So yeah, go back to that other window. It's the only other Sublime window open. Yeah, that one.
This one?
Yeah, that's fine. Maximize, go to source/omdb source folder /omdb container. So there should be a file in there called omdb container. No. Go back to the instructions. Read me. Okay. Source/omdb container. So directly inside the source, there should be a file called.
Oh yeah, right here. It's in the middle.
It's inside the components.
Yeah. Okay. So what does it want us to do to this thing? Let's go back to the instructions.
What's it? Add a component did mount method.
Okay. Add a component did mount method, which should utilize the API.js module to query the OMDB API for the movie The Matrix when the component result mounts. Then update this component's result state with the result of the AJAX request. So let's just copy what we had in our previous example. If you could, Nelson, just go up a little bit where it says O2 INS AJAX there. Let's go to the search form component. I think. No. Search result list, maybe?
Yes, right there.
Yeah,
Line
there.
14 to 15.
So yeah, we can just copy the component did mount, paste it into our app. No, we got flip windows to the other Sublime window.
Oh.
Yeah, no, just all tab one. Okay, so we're gonna paste in there underneath where it says state. Everyone with me so far? What we're doing, we're just adding this component did mount method, which handles what the component is supposed to do to get to its starting state. So we're calling search Giphy. Let's go back to
Giphy search.
Yeah, wait. You had it fine, Nelson. Go. You're not supposed to think, you're just supposed to type. So hit Control-C, Control-Z once to get it indented the right way, the way we had it.
Yeah, it's here.
Control and then Z. To undo. Control and then Z. Control and then Z.
At the same time, yeah.
You've been crippled by the apple.
It's okay. Let's just.
Control and then
You
Z.
just have an apple?
Yeah?
Control and
Does
then Z.
it?
Oh.
No. Or, well, either way, he just.
This one?
Yeah, Control and then Z. Z.
Oh, sorry, I was. Yeah, sorry. It's okay.
Okay. So let's go back to our instructions. We gotta really focus up here, guys, because we got a lot to get through now. We're not gonna get through all of it. This is gonna be like our first class that we're just starting on.
Where are the instructions?
It's there in that window. Go back to the
Yeah,
tab.
the middle one. Where are we?
Yeah, here, Nelson, you're lost.
I know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know what you did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we're dreading it now. Starting.
You gonna eat the burger?
No, get out of here.
I have an
Get out
Oh,
of here.
sorry.
Get out of here with that. Sam, stop that burger fine.
Okay, let's scroll down a little bit, please, Nelson. Okay, so we're gonna add, stop. We're gonna add a component did mount method, which should utilize the API JS module to query OMDB. So let's flip back to the other window, please. Instead of doing search, okay, so we already have a search movies method. So are we gonna want to do search Giphy, or are we gonna want to use another search movies? So we're gonna change that to search movies, and then are we gonna search movies for kittens, or did they ask us for something else? Right. So we just put in the matrix there. Okay, that part's done. Let's go back to our instructions and see what else we have to do. Okay, add a handle input change method to our same class here, which should be called whenever a user types into an input field instead of this method set the input state. So do we have to reinvent the wheel with this one, or did they give us something pretty similar in a previous example? Previous example. So let's go back to our previous example, use our copy paste skill. So that's going to be the O2 up there on the left. Nelson, see where it says O2 INS Ajax, go down into here, and then it's going to be
Which one?
that one where you just had the mouse, search result, the bottom one.
Search result.
Yeah, that one. Okay, so then we scroll down in this file. Handle input change is what they want, right? So we copy paste this.
Until here?
No, one more down. One more down.
There?
Copy, yeah.
Okay.
Copy, flip, and Alt Tab to flip between windows.
Right,
No, Alt.
okay. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. OMDB container. Okay.
Should I paste?
So no, we're gonna add a new method, right? So what is it gonna do to add in the new method, everyone? We copied the method from our other example. Now what are we gonna do to get it into the class?
Paste it.
We're gonna paste, right? Okay. Is there an indentation error there?
Yes.
Where?
Wait, where'd it go?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't.
Oh, it's gone.
Yeah, const.
Okay. What line is he gonna fix? Tell him what to do. He's specific. What is he doing?
26, hold the shift key and press the tab.
Okay.
You got all that?
You're confusing. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. So that's good. Is this good, or do we need to change anything inside of here? Let's go back and look at the instructions. Right?
Change inside of this method set this state, this dot state dot search equal to the new value of the input field.
Okay, this dot state dot, wait, go back to our instructions again, please. Add a handle form, which should be called when the form is submitted inside of this. Okay, no, we're on handle change
No, we're on
input.
27.
Yeah, we're on handle change input method, which should be called whenever the user types into the input field. Inside of this method, put this set the this dot state dot search to equal the new value of the input field. Okay. So we're only doing this for our one input field, so we don't need to make it work for all of them. But that's okay, because the name of this is going to be search, and we're going to want to set what data in our state again? The search. What is it? Go back to the instructions. Okay. This dot state dot search. We want to set the search state to equal the new value of the input field. So what is the name of our input field? Let's go back to our other window, please. Let's scroll down to where we have.
Are we looking for the matrix though?
No. That's not what we're doing here. Okay, so we gotta look at, we gotta scroll down to here. We gotta look for our search form. So we gotta go to our search form.js and see what they call that field. So go to search form.js.
Oh, that's what they mean.
Yeah, so go to search form.js, and then, so the name of this input is gonna be search, and we're setting the property to search, right? Right, guys?
Yes.
Are we all here so far? Okay, so let's go back to where we were before, OMDB container. Let's scroll up to the method that we're working on. Handle input change. Will this work? Do we need to change anything? If the field name is called search and the name of the state property that we want to set as search, then it's going to set the search to search, right? And everything looks going to match up and it's going to just work. So do we need to change anything here or no in order to get this to work?
So then we change the.
Right here.
No. Guys, come on, I need you guys to focus. How is this working, everyone? We're setting the name to the target.name. So if the name of our field that we're getting the info from is search, what is name going to equal here? Search, right? And then, no, leave it, please, leave it. Okay, now the property that we're trying to set in the state is called what? Search, right? So if the field is called search and the property we're trying to set is called search, is this going to do it? By setting the property we're trying to set to the name of the field?
Yes.
Yes, right? So do we need to change anything here?
No.
No, right? You guys all see how that's working?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, good. Let's go on to the next thing. If there are no questions on this. Okay, add a handle form submit method, which should be called when the form is submitted. Inside of this form submit, utilize the API module to search the OMDB API for the this.state.search. Do we have to reinvent the wheel on this one, or can we copy paste from copy paste? Okay, where are we going to find the stuff to copy paste?
Second activity.
Okay, in this window or the other window. Second, same place we were, search results, that thing. Yeah.
Search results.
Yeah, this thing right here. Click on it, then which method is he copying, everyone?
Handle form submit.
Handle form submit, so that's where down, right? So it's down more. You guys have to navigate. So you're going to tell them copy lines 32 through 35. We all need to focus and listen to what to do, so copy. Switch back. Now what is the next thing he's going to do, everyone? He's not thinking.
Paste.
Paste. Come down to a new line and paste. Okay. So is this calling our search OMDB API? No, it's calling this search Giphy, right? So what do we want to change it to? Search movie. And what are we passing in? This state search, right? So what are we doing when we do the key change again? Can you scroll up a little bit? Scroll up, down, down, down.
I'm confused with this.
Down. Okay, right there. Stop. Okay. So here we're just setting the state. So anytime they press the key, we're going to set the state, and then when they hit the submit button, we're actually going to go and get the movies based on whatever the value for the state is. You guys see how that works? Okay.
I have a question. Why
Sure,
here
ma'am.
is not press data like the other one? It's just the API?
Yes, so the APIs are designed differently because it's in a different system working in a different part of our application. What you're referring to is Node.js, which runs on the server side, right? This is code that's running on the client side in the browser. This is not running on the server. So that's why we use request response when we're doing stuff in Node that's running on the server. This is on the front end running in React. Okay. So what's next, guys?
Yeah.
Okay, so go back to the reading.
So bonus after you get the rest of the application code working, add code so that if no movie results are found, a message is displayed indicating this in place of the movie detail file.
Okay, so let's try to find that and see if we can do it, and then we're gonna probably call it a night after this. But we might go over homework.
Also it says don't forget to call event default instead of any event handlers. Call the response to an HTML form being submitted.
Okay, so first, before we do anything, let us test it out and see if it works. So we're gonna go to the browser.
Oh.
It looks like it should be,
Yeah, it should be running.
We don't have to restart it, right?
No.
No, we don't. We should not.
Yeah, here it is.
Okay, so let's just restart it. Yeah, it looks like it's
It's
just
working.
working. Let's try searching for another movie. What's the movie?
Frozen.
No, left away.
Shawshank
What's the
Redemption.
thing? Just one word. Just one word. Oh, fuck.
Yay!
It worked for me.
Let it go.
Okay. Shrek. Okay, so it looks like we still have more stuff to fix here, guys. So let's focus and fix it. So let's go back to the My App window, open in Sublime Text.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We need the event prevented.
We already have it.
We already have that. So somehow we're not setting the state. So we're calling, oh, I know why. Let's scroll down to our JSX code and let's see what's missing from there. So let's scroll down. And
Wow.
okay, so let's scroll down to the search form. Scroll down. So, okay. So we're passing in handle input change and handle input submit. So let's go and open up the search form component itself to make sure those are getting attached.
It's kind of laggy. I mean,
On change, this property is handle input change, handle form submit. So that should be fine.
Yeah, so the only code you need to modify is inside of onddcontainer.js.
Yeah, so let's go back to ONDB container.
Jonathan, for me it works. It's lagging when I try to search. It takes a couple seconds for it to actually come up.
I don't think that's what's happening for us here.
No, the matrix is still there.
Actually, no, it does.
Okay, so let's scroll up a bit.
Also, did you save after?
I did because
So let's try restarting the server. Maybe that will fix it somehow. Okay, so let's try searching for frozen or something.
there.
Yay! Okay, awesome. Let's look at the bonuses now.
Huh?
You want to keep driving, Nelson, or you want us to switch? Okay, awesome. Good job. Let's go back and look at the bonuses, and the readme is the next one over. Thanks. Okay, so bonus. After you get the rest of the application code working, add code so that if no movie results are found, a message is displayed indicating in place of movie detail component. Otherwise, display the movie detail component. You can verify this completed step correctly by searching for an empty string. If successful, you should see your message being displayed instead of any movie information. So let's just try it out now. If you go back to the web browser, let's try typing in, some movie that doesn't exist, like a bunch of random text. Yeah. Okay, and now just nothing happened. Now try typing in like The Godfather. Okay, so it found that one. So now if you type The Godfather S, The Godfathers, that movie doesn't exist. Can't find it. Okay, so let's see if we can fix it. Let's come back to our application code, the My App in Sublime Text. The My App folder in Sublime Text. Yeah, that one. Good. Okay, so where do we think we're going to look for the code to change to fix this thing? Is it going to be in one of the components, or is it going to be in the code that's the wrapper for the API? What would be the likely place that we would fix that?
You mean like a not found page?
No, that's not what I mean.
Sorry.
So where would we look? Can anyone think where would we look to put in the code that's going to fix this problem?
But we're only supposed to edit anything here.
So we have components. What other things do we have in our app besides components? What else do we have in here? What else do we have in here? What about this utils folder? Did that used to be there in our other examples? Utils? No, it's not, right? And we're using it because we have our code that actually uses Axios that we looked at and talks to the API in the utils. That's not inside the components, that's a util. Because we might have several components that use that same method to use Axios to talk to an API, right? So that is not specific to any one component. So we remove that logic from the components and put it into a separate place called utils. So do we think that API.js inside utils might be a good place to start to look for where to fix the not found error? Yes, no, maybe. Let's try it. Okay, so here we have this, and then it's going to just return a promise. So maybe it would be better to look in the component itself where we get back a promise, and then we'll get back the data. It depends on how they did it. I would have done it so that it does it from here, but we have to go back and look in the component. So we'll go back to that OMDB container. We'll go back to the OMDB container, and then there's going to be, if we scroll up a little bit, just like 2 lines. Okay, we scrolled up too much. Can we scroll down some? Okay, stop. Okay. So, do we see what's happening when we do api.search.query? It calls our api.js inside of the utils folder, right? Do we remember what type of value our utils returns? It returns a promise, right? And then what do we do with that promise? We chain on a then method and a catch method to it, right? So we're going to say this dot set state result data. So could we update that then method that gets the response and say if response.data.length is 0, then don't update it and show the method? Would that work?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good solution, right? Yeah? Would that solve it, do you guys think? If we made that, so that arrow function, we would have to make it a multi-line, right? Instead of single line, and put an if statement inside it. So to do that, we wrap it in curly brackets, right? So let's do that, please, Nelson. Put the opening curly bracket and then new line, yeah, closing. Before the parentheses, before that
one?
Undo all of that. No. Okay, so yeah, before the 1 parenthesis. Yeah, right there. Okay, move that down to a new line. Perfect. Okay, so before we set this state, we're going to do what? We're going to put what kind of statement? No, you don't need that there. You don't need that there because then we're chaining on catch.
No.
So if you have that there, you can't do dot catch. So tell him what to type.
Before this.
Yeah, so it's going to be before that. It's going to be the first line. Tell him. Go ahead.
Yeah, if, okay, and then wrap that below 925 second in parentheses.
I don't understand.
Take the closing parentheses and put it on 925.
Wait, what?
Oh.
No, I don't think you got. So what are we checking for here? What do we want to check and see?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, if the response dot data, if the data property of the response has a length of 0 or is empty, right? One of those things. So, and we can check that just by doing an exclamation point response dot data. That should be enough. And we can even test this just to be sure if we go to the browser, just so you guys can see we're doing it the right way. If we go to the browser, use Nelson, where we have our app from.
Try safe.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's try again searching for a movie that doesn't exist, just a bunch of nonsense text is fine.
Or didn't default the matrix?
Enter. I don't know, maybe because we had the nonsense text already entered, so that says the state of that component. Okay, so let's open up web development tools, if you will do, and inspect elements. Okay, and then we're going to come to network. Now we have to refresh our page. So just kind of Control R. Just Control R is fine. Okay, now come back to that other tab that has. No, it's all the way at the end. Developer tools. Okay, so we have that info T. Is either one of these from? So mouse over those so we can see where they're from. If they're from OMDB. Okay, so that one is from OMDB. Click on that. Click on that top one. That's from OMDB. Now we're going to want to go to the response tab so we can see the JSON response that's coming back. So this one was for the matrix, right?
Right.
So now we're going to do a new search. So go back to the window, the browser window where our app actually is. The browser window where our app is. Now we're going to type in some text. Junk text, enter. Yeah, I don't know why the matrix is not coming up now, though. It's weird. I'll have to go back and fix that. Okay, so click that the third AJAX request, the third XHR request that we did. So response is going to be false. So there is not going to be a response.data, right? So we know response.data won't exist, so we know this code that we're using is going to work. Let's go back to our Sublime Text within my app folder. Okay, so we know that this is going to work. If there is no response.data, then we can do our logic for what we do if there's no data. So in this case, we can just do a simple alert, right? That's simple enough.
Yeah.
So we can all go home. If you guys did this professionally, you would do it in a different way. You would have to make a noise, have the page shake with CSS, something like that, like we saw in our last example. Here we can just type an alert. What do we want to alert them?
You suck.
Nobody like that.
Yeah, you suck.
Yeah.
Just give us that.
If you didn't say it.
Yeah, just, we don't care about customer service.
No,
Customers never, right?
no, we're the developers, we're not the customer service.
Yeah, exactly. That's very true. Okay, so what's the next part? What's the next part we're going to type? Else.
Delete that post, damn it.
Okay, what comes after the else? Semicolons. And what are we going to do with that this dot set state? Where are we going to move that to? Inside the else, right? So you're going to cut that this dot state and just move it inside the else. So, awesome. Let's save and let's try it out. Okay, so now we got the matrix back. That's good. I think we broke something. So ASD, search for ASD. Wait, there's an extra what?
I thought there was some bracket situation going on there.
In the browser?
No. One.
I've learned.
Let's restart our app.
You should refresh once you save.
Yeah, it should be fresh, but sometimes it doesn't work. I mean, we did everything right, so we would think. Okay, refresh it. Okay, try typing some junk text. Go to our developer tab or open, do it, inspect elements so we can open up our developer tools panel because we closed it. And then we're just going to want to come to the network tab and then hit Control R to refresh the page. Okay, good. Now let's go back to the actual page where we have our app, and now again try searching for some junk text. Click search. Okay, come back to our web inspector. Yeah, you got it. Okay, click on that one. Yeah, good, Nelson. Okay, so we're getting this response, false, error, no movie found. Okay, so let's take a look then at, click on that T, the third thing that you have selected, the question mark T, click on it again. Just click on it again, right there, click. Okay, go to headers tab. Okay, let's look, it's giving us status code 200. Why is this not working? You guys, we can figure this out. Jonathan, can you keep them going for a second? Sure. See if you guys can figure it out.
You're in charge.
After the dog cat.
I don't know what you just
All right.
What are you trying to figure out?
Why don't you status code 200? Just putting in random zeros.
I don't even know what
Wait, go back to the Roman code. Go back to the what's the response that you got? No, but like the response tab.
Oh,
Well, that's the API's fault. That's not.
Yeah, you when they did the conditional, they're checking for response dot length equals 0.
No,
Right, if you're getting a response.
You're getting actually
So go to the code and check.
Then you remember they can just do response dot whatever that gives them the false.
exactly.
Yeah, but
Where are you checking for that?
oh yeah, you're checking if you don't get data, but you are getting data
For the
back.
response.
right?
If it's false or if response.error is on whatever.
Right. Because right now all they're checking is that they're not getting a response.
Where's that check? Where's that check happening? Oh,
If the data,
Right here.
If you're not getting any data, but you're always going to get data back, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if
no. That is, no.
You
Okay,
can probably
so
set it up.
remove the exclamation point.
If there is an error message given back to you.
Exactly. So if response.error.
Yeah. Well, it's
Yeah, if
sending
there's
back
an
to
error.
200 though.
Exactly. No. But there's an option in the option. So response.error.
Isn't the data back?
right here.
Did you guys figure it out?
Yeah, it's no. Would it be dot data?
Response.
Yeah, dot data dot error.
Yeah, that data back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's still responding to
Oh, I thought there was no response.data.
No, there's a response.
It is.
Oh,
It
okay.
says
Response
response
data.
right there. See?
Wait, can you go back to that, Nelson?
Look, it already refreshed, so let's test it.
Yeah, okay, but I just wanted to see the data that was coming. So go back to the browser. Go back to the browser and then go back to the development. I just wanted to see real quick and then yeah, we can test it.
Okay. It went away.
Well, yeah.
Oh yeah, I want to
Type
wait.
in
So
gibberish.
search for
Type in
something.
gibberish.
Go back to the browser window itself and then type in gibberish.
The fuck is 125?
Yeah, well we're gonna get out.
Uh,
Okay, so now go back to web developer tools. Go to number 3. Click on number 3. Okay, so
oh,
there's no
error with a
data.
capital E. That's why.
Oh,
Yes, but there is no data property, is it? Oh no, it's the data property of the thing that comes back from
Right,
Axios.
which is
Yeah.
this whole
Okay, so data with a
Error
capital
with
E.
capital.
There we go.
Save.
That should work.
I think you might have to do curly
And
brackets.
then you don't have to
Error
restart
if
it,
it's,
it refreshes itself.
DreamWorks.
It should be. That
No,
should be
no,
an object.
Yeah, it's an object. Sometimes the properties just get put in strings. That's
There.
Boom.
Yay! Great job, Nelson. Awesome job, Nelson. Awesome job, everyone. Sorry we had so many technical difficulties in Junk today. What we had for you guys. Sorry. No. Why would we do that to you? No, it didn't freeze. I'm just looking at the stuff we have to do. We're in good shape, guys. We're in good shape. You guys are doing a great job wrapping your heads around the way all of this stuff works, which is really the important thing. It's really the depth of your understanding, not the breadth of it. It's really about, like, do you get this stuff? Do you get how it works? And then when we have to do, like, an extra little thing, like integrate Ajax, if you understand how all this stuff is working fundamentally, learning to add these little bits and pieces will be no problem. So really the most important thing for you guys about learning React is learning to think in terms of components, learning to think in terms of component hierarchy, which components go inside other components, and then learning to think about things in state and property and the way the state and property flows through your application, which is not an easy thing to wrap your head around. It's going to take you guys a while to kind of get used to doing things this way. The article that I sent out last night is a really great resource, the Thinking in Terms of React or whatever that's called. So I recommend Thinking in React. Yeah. So I definitely recommend that all of you read that. That should be a great starting point. Are there any questions? Anything at all? Yeah, Nelson.
The way we structure our application for using like handlebars and Express and Node and all those things, how does that match with React?
Okay, so the question, how does that match with React? Handlebars you won't really need to use inside of React because we have JSX that does the same thing. Bootstrap we do use with React. We've seen examples of that already, right? What was the other one? Handlebars, Bootstrap, and what else?
Yeah.
Node.js is on the back end, right? So our React app is, what is that, front end or back end, the React code? Front end, right? So our Express app is back end, right? So the back end will still talk to the front end just the same. In the previous examples, we've been using jQuery and plain JavaScript on the front end, and then we use Node.js on the back end. Now that we're using React, we use React on the front end. That replaces the jQuery and stuff that we were doing. And then our back end is still the same. Our back end is going to be Mongo, Express, all that stuff stays the same because that's back end.
When we're because this has its own server.
Yeah, we're going to get into doing that part. So our server side will be a separate project. That's how this is going to work. So in previous examples, you guys have had your server and your client be in the same thing. That's not how this is going to work. Your React app is going to be a separate animal from your Node server. They're going to talk to each other with AJAX requests. So from now on, like when you guys do your final project, you'll set it up as 2 separate projects. I think this is correct, right? Jonathan, there'll be one for there because there's no way to integrate like a React app with an Express app in one project. Unless maybe they will give you guys a way to. No, there's nothing to do with Firebase. You can use React with Firebase, but this has nothing to do with what we're talking about. We're talking. Hold on. You hold on a second, Fulton. Let me get to Jackie first. Jackie, we're talking about using a Node.js backend with React. You can use a Firebase backend with a React application, or you can make your own backend with Node. Everyone see how that works? Yeah, usually that's the pattern most people use. When I've done React apps in the past, that's the way I've done it. You have your backend, which is like an API that gives you data over JSON, like we've seen in the API examples that we've done, and then your React app just connects to this API over AJAX. That's the way that you guys are probably going to be doing it. I can look through the examples and see if they try to integrate it into one project or they just keep it separate. It's probably going to be simpler for you guys if you just keep everything separate, and you'll have your backend folks working on the Express app and your front-end folks working on the React app. Let's give ourselves a hand, guys. You all did excellent work today. Bye, Mads. Progressive web app? What is, I don't know what that is. Like the Progressive Insurance? I don't know what that is. Yeah, sorry. Do you know what that is, Jonathan?
What?
What you just said, Progressive web app?
Oh, the PGA?
Yeah.
No, but I was Googling it up actually.
Oh, okay.
It's like the single page, but like it's different, like it's a type of web page.
So yeah, that's out of scope. Sorry.
It's fast, engaging, level. Yeah.
But React does use that type of design philosophy where it sort of pre-compiles everything and puts it together into a nice package with Webpack, and then it can cache it on the front end and stuff. So React is doing some of that stuff for you. I don't know if it qualifies as a whatever that is, progressive web app.
And last question, if there are 2 different apps, how do they fit into Heroku?
If there are 2 different apps, you have 2 different Heroku apps for them. 2 different Heroku buckets, 2 different GitHub repositories. That is the way I've done that. Have you guys ever done a React Express project any other way where they're integrated into the same repository and same Heroku instance and all of that? No, there's probably no way to do that, right? That would be pretty impossible. We're saying, like, could you have an Express project and also a React project together in one?
There's a project that they made that. I was trying to follow the instructions on how to do it.
Okay, React Express in one app. Let's see what they say. Create React app. So this is 2017.
Why couldn't it just be a folder in your Node directory?
Say that again?
Just put the React folder inside your.
No, that doesn't work because it has to run Node, or rather React has to run tools on the back end like Webpack to get everything all in the right state that it needs to be for the production build. So it uses Webpack to compile everything, to get everything into exactly the right state that it needs it. It does all that stuff on the back end. It needs Node to do that stuff. So even though it's front end, it uses Node on the back end to compile and get everything ready for the front end and to serve it. Does that make sense?
But when the production pack is built, we don't need Node anymore for that.
No, you don't need Node anymore. And that's what we did when I was at AARP. For example, we had one repo that was for the source and one repo that was for the distribution. So we'd compile it and then move it to another repository, and then it would stay there, and that's how we'd have to deploy it. That wasn't like an optimal way to do it. That's just what we had to do as a workaround for the way that our server infrastructure was set up in the Java environment. So we'll figure all this stuff out. We're not quite there yet. You guys are doing well. Any other questions? You guys know you can Slack me, etc. Are you good? What? Yeah, so we talked about that in the example that we saw from Express. Server-side rendering is if you use handlebars on the server side, you can render your pages on the server side using handlebars. With React, you don't really need to do that because it makes it really quick anyway, so you don't have to do that. Yeah, but I haven't looked into that. But I think it does give you a mechanism for that, but I haven't looked into it. But because it uses Webpack, everything is pretty much rendered on the server though already.